Sicon Documents is an integrated module which sits directly inside of Sage 200. It allows you to be able to store documents coming in, inbound documentation, as well as distribute outbound documentation such as purchase orders, sales quotes, sales order acknowledgements, etc. So let's start off the process by showing you a very simplistic way of being able to attach a document. And that's going to include attaching an invoice. So all I'm going to do is go straight into Standard Sage Purchase Ledger, and you'll see in a moment that if I come and attach a document, that we have a little extra button at the bottom of the screen, and that's essentially our Documents button. So let's pop in some information in the usual Standard Sage way. And all I'm going to do is add my document. Now, you can pre-configure some different types of documentations if you like, so all of those will then be listed in the bottom there. Obviously, we're in the purchase ledger screen, so it's defaulting to invoice, and this is an automatic way of electronically filing. So rather than you having to file it away and filing cupboards and boxes, it's all going to be stored centrally within the Sage system. Now, there's a couple of ways in which we can attach it. If you have a desktop scanner, as long as it's a train driver, you simply pop in your paper invoice, click the scan button, and that will automatically connect to the device, and it will then automatically whiz through and attach in the pane here. The second way is if we go to a file on the network, so this could be that you've got a network scanner, I simply come to the document that I want to attach, and that's automatically then stored within the pane here as well. Now, there is a third way, which allows us to very simply do a drag and drop from an email, and that can include the whole of the email, or we could simply drag the attachment. The fourth way is through our full-blown document automation, so OCR, which means I don't have to key anything in through here. Once we've trained the system, it will automatically read the data. So if you want further information about that, look at our website, and there is a demo recording on that. Let's save this. And you'll see now, very simply, that it's stored against it. So we can see that we've got a stored transaction. And if we now come to our Standard Sage Purchase Ledger, all that's going to happen now is we've now got that stored. So come to Standard Sage Purchase Inquiries. You'll see we just simply have an extra little column on the far right-hand side that shows us that we've got a document attached. We can see the transaction that we've literally just attached. And again, there's our little Documents button. But this time, there's a view that then allows us to see any documentation. So that could be a PDF, a Word document, JPEG. It could be any type of documentation. Now, I've still got the ability to be able to continue attaching documents through here, through that little Add Documents button. Now, there's various places within Standard Sage that we can attach documents through the nominal ledger, through purchase ledger, purchase order processing, cash book, SOP, sales ledger. So what I'm going to do now is show you that whole process from start to end. So if you're receiving a sales order through, attaching the customer's purchase order, invoicing out using a document distribution, sending a purchase order through to your supplier, emailing that out automatically, and again, attaching as you've just seen the invoice. Before we show you that process, though, you'll see the different areas that we have that capacity to be able to send out documentation. So that includes things like purchase order returns, as I said, sales quote, pro formas orders, order acknowledgements, good dispatch, customer status, and remittance. And if you already have our Sicon contracts or construction retentions, it can integrate with that as well. What I've basically done is then link that to the roles that you already have set up against the accounts back in Sage, so we can decide who we want those documentation going through to, and then this simply gives you the option of deciding how you want it sent. Do you want it just going straight to your drafts or sending immediately? Now, this is a typical example of what I'm going to be sending out when I send the purchase order. So in this instance, it includes a header page, background page, terms and conditions, and obviously you can design the specific document itself. Additionally to that, we've also got the capacity to be able to add images, whatever images or documentation. So this could be specifications, instructions. So if you're using Standard Sage stock items, you'll see against the stock item, we've got this extra little Sicon tab. And against that, all we basically do is we load up all of the documentation and images, etc., that we want to send. And in the case of here, I've basically said I want to send an image of a coffee machine. So we have an order from Sicon Limited, and there's that same Add Documents button that you saw earlier on, which is where we now have the capacity to attach something like a customer's purchase order. But again, you can distinguish the different types of documentation that you might want to attach within here. So it's the same process as you saw before. All I'm basically doing now is attach my order, and that's now attached directly through to the sales order. What I'm now doing is just using the standard Sage methodology of confirming that order and dispatching it. But we have this extra little button that allows us now to email that out directly. So it's going to pick up the role, which includes the email address of where that needs to go, and it's going to automatically send that out for us, as you'll see in a moment. Having dispatched that, we can do exactly the same process when it comes to the invoice. So again, same button to email and archive, and all it's going to do again is it's going to pick up the role and email address of who we want that invoice to go through to. So if we come and take a look at our inbox, you'll see that there's the draft email that's sending out the dispatch note, and there's the attachment of the image of the espresso machine. And similarly, if I come to my sent, there's the invoice that we sent out with a copy of the sales order invoice, and again, that stock image for us. We've now come into the purchase order, and again, we've got that capacity to attach any additional documentation if we wanted to. But what I'd like to do is email that out directly with, again, any additional corresponding documentation through to my supplier. So again, same email and archive button that you saw earlier on. So we've sent that purchase order off through to the supplier. We've received the goods. Again, I'm in the standard Sage goods received. And again, we've got that same Add Documents button, which allows me to be able to attach additional documentation. So all we're going to do now to finish the process off is to post the invoice against the purchase order. And once again, this gives us the ability to be able to attach the invoice against this and be able to store it electronically against the transaction specifically. Again, Add Documents button, add the invoice, attach, done. Once again, if we come directly into the purchase ledger transaction inquiry screen, you'll see that same document count, and we can see that there's a document attached. And all I simply do is I can see the order that was attached to that, and I can see the invoice, so we can drill into either one of those. Any further information, please refer through to our helping user guides or have a chat with your Sage business partner.